Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
We're back after our summer camp disaster. We're going to be covering Halloween films. Not all of them, but a couple of them, leading up to Halloween Kills, which comes out October 15th, technically October 14th if you're going to go on Thursday, but we're super stoked about that, so we're going to do some Halloween films for everybody. Ian, how many of these have you seen? So we are going to be covering 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe
H2O.
Resurrection. Possibly.
It's H2O 7?
Yeah.
So prior to this, I thought I had only seen the first 2 Halloweens, H2O and Resurrection. But as we were watching this, I guess I have seen the Rob Zombie ones. I didn't think I had because I kept waiting for a scene to happen, and then Zach informed me that was a scene from one of the Rob Zombie ones. I don't know when the fuck I would have seen it. It must have been like on TV.
The Rob Zombie ones? Did you not go in the theater and see them? Huh. I feel like that was it was like, 2007? That was a really big movie that came out. I'm surprised you didn't go see that.
Because I knew that I hated Rob Zombie.
Okay. Prejudgment.
I was like, oh, is there going to be a rape in the movie? Is Michael Myers a rapist now? Probably going to behead a lady and then rape her head.
No, he kills the rapists.
But there is a rape scene. Of course there is.
Technically. It's just Rob Zombie stuff. But we're not covering that today. We're going to be covering Halloween 2 because we already did Halloween 1978 last year. When it's crazy. It's been a year now since we've done My Bloody Judy. So we've been going. So we did last year. We did Halloween 1978 and 2018. So today we're going to be doing Halloween 2. We're going to kind of continue that timeline. This one was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, but not directed by John Carpenter. He did not direct this one. Rick Rosenthal directed this one. Rick Rosenthal is married to Nancy Stevens, who plays Marion Chambers, the smoking nurse. It's weird because we recorded this. We're recording this kind of out of order, and we did H2O already. So last night while we were watching it, we kept like referencing her and H2O. But you know.
But in the current timeline, she's still alive, right?
She's still here. Don't give it away, Ian. Nobody's seen that one yet. Okay. This movie picks up directly where the other one left off, 78 left off, and we get on-screen text telling us it is October 31st, 1978, and we get footage from the end of the 1978 one, but this one was 1981, 82.
Yeah. I had to look it up. It was 81. Because I was like, okay. I thought it was a year. It was only a year later. I didn't realize how many years later it was.
Yeah, it was a few years because they wanted to capitalize more on, because slashers were starting to come about at that time. So like we had Friday the 13th, and they wanted to like kind of cash in on that. And originally, like John Carpenter and Deborah Hill didn't want to do it, and then they got tangled up in some legal stuff where they had to do it, and so they were kind of forced to do this movie. They didn't really want to do this movie. And originally, I think their concept was that Laurie Strode was going to be set in 1981, and Laurie Strode was going to be like living in a high-rise apartment building, and like Michael tracked her down and stuff. But I really like the continuation of the original. Like, I like that concept. This movie does drag a little bit. It tends to drag. I looked it up because I was like, this must be a 2-hour movie the way I remember it. It's an hour and 30-something minutes.
It's like a regular, not long movie, but it feels long.
It's just got a lot of mundane stuff in it where it's like we really do see step by step what happens to this like this final girl after the events of like her the first movie.
Well, barely step by step for her. It's like she's in that bed. That's not. It's like she's in the bed.
Step by step. Her. What do you want to do? Snore by snore?
It's like it's like the staff that we don't care about step by step.
It is, yeah. But I don't know. I think it's cool, like, especially the first, like, 20 minutes of this movie. I freaking love all of this. So we start with the footage from the end of the last movie, and then we go into new footage. Michael Myers falls off the front balcony in this one.
Okay, so I don't understand why they reuse the, right? Like, they didn't refilm the scene of her telling the kids to run away, right?
I don't believe so.
So I don't understand why they just didn't reuse the footage, right? Like,
so I think that the balcony from the original was a different location, and so to save money, they probably weren't going to book that location too. And they wanted to use the I mean, because that's like that's a whole set right there in front of the houses. Because it's the Doyle house in the background, the Wallace house. Like you got the street. Like it's a whole thing. So I could see why they did it, but it looks so bad too. Like whenever he's like backing up, you can see him backing up off of a ramp.
I was gonna say that was what, because that when I said that to you, I think you thought I meant it was a different balcony. But what bothered me the most was that it's clear, like in the original, it's like he hits the balcony and it like falls with him,
Yeah.
but he like literally stands on the banister of the balcony and falls off, and it's like, but why would that even happen?
Yeah. It's
Like it looks like
I
in video games when it's like someone standing on something they shouldn't because of a glitch. That's what it
yeah.
reminded me of. Like if you like, in Resident Evil when you're like looking in the rooms and suddenly you're standing on the top part of a toilet and it's like, why the fuck are you standing there? That's what it reminded me of.
It's like really like it does take you out of it for a minute, but like just disregarding that whatever.
Right, yeah.
So he goes down. Loomis goes out to check, like his body's gone, obviously, and there's blood on the grass, and the neighbor comes out. See, I really like all of this. I love like
Yeah.
the neighbor coming out and like it feels real. And you said something about Haddonfield.
Right. Yes. So like I think I said this every time we talk about Halloween, the
Yeah.
like literally Haddonfield that it's
Yeah.
based on is the town over from me. And like it feels very Haddonfield because Haddonfield is like a upper middle, like upper middle class town where it's like the houses are like pretty big, but it's like very movie suburban. The streets have all the like trees like they do in the Halloween movies. And there's like a lot of little shops. There's like a main street with a bunch of shops that are like cutesy shops, not like a Target or like
Mhm.
whatever. It's like
Oh my gosh,
people.
Michael Myers in a Target. Please give it to us. Next
It's like
sequel.
it's all like like there was a toy shop called like Happy Hippo that my mom would let me go to sometimes, and like
Yeah.
stuff like that where it's not like name brand stuff. It's all like cutesy like town stuff. So like it really did feel like Haddonfield. Like it looks like,
hmm
but granted, I'm sure it's just they based it off of like any American upper middle class suburban town. But since like they did specifically use Haddonfield where near where I'm from, that's what like I kept thinking of. And I did really like all of that. I don't know if you'll agree. I kept seeing like, oh, this is why they didn't want this one to be canon because I kind of want to redo this. I felt like, we get later on in the movie that scene of the town just like stupidly standing at the Myers house throwing shit at the house, and Loomis has like that like unhinged. This is the tribe. This is their wake, and like I was like, this is gonna be used in Halloween Kills. Like,
Okay, so when I was watching, and we're jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but like still, we'll get on to it because I fucking love that scene. And when we were watching it last night, I was like, this is Halloween Kills. This is gonna be that movie because it's just that like it's crazy like because people would do this. People would go to the house and they would start like trashing this house that like really is just a symbol, I guess, right?
Right.
They're not really trashing Michael
you're not
Myers,
really
but,
doing
like,
anything to Michael Myers.
in the trailer we even saw that they were like outside of the hospital going crazy on top of the ambulance and everything. Like these people are this is going to be this scene times like 100.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking madness and Halloween Kills, and I'm so excited for it. But I mean, I agree with you. I like that this feels like a real town, and like there's something about these earlier movies, especially like the first one and this one, that seeing these same locations kind of repeated kind of solidifies that real town feeling. So I'm hoping that Halloween Kills will see a couple of those revisited locations as well, just to make it feel more like a real town, because it's not the same town, right? This was South Pasadena, specific locations. Like we know these as Halloween fans, but we don't really know all of the locations from Halloween 2018 aside from Laurie's house. No, I loved all of this, and I love the neighbor coming out, and it kind of like every little person, every little character that you're never gonna see more than a minute, like that comes out, just kind of adds to this town, right? So the neighbor comes out and he's like, are you playing some kind of a prank? I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight. And then Loomis, like, because Loomis has got to be crazy in this one. You got to up his crazy just a little bit more. He's like, you don't know what that is. And he turns his whole body. I love that. Just a whole body, no neck.
I will say, I did keep thinking like, I forget what was the fucking doctor's name in Halloween 2018.
Sartain.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I will say, like watching that one when we watched it together, I was like, I enjoyed it, and you agreed that the doctor was like stupid. I don't know. He doesn't seem so stupid now compared to Loomis in Halloween 2 because the acting here is just put to 100.
Yeah.
And I found myself thinking like, wait, do I misremember this? Is he in on it with Michael Myers? Because he was just screaming all the time and
Yeah.
it felt like they literally just took all the acting from him, Donald Pleasance in Halloween 2, and we're like, do that, but we're gonna make you a bad guy.
Well, so that's probably what it was. Is like the first one, he had his character and he kind of like played it as seriously as he could,
Yeah.
maybe, without taking it too seriously. And then when they come back for two, he's like, well, this is what the fans loved about. Fans are talking about Crazy Loomis. Let me up that a little bit. Because in every movie after this that he's in, it's always like, I know he's coming back. He's here.
Okay, wait, yeah. I thought he was in other movies, but he
Yes.
fucking dies. Wait, how is that explained?
And we're not even at Halloween 4 yet. We're going to get there. We're going to
All
get
right,
there.
fair. All right, fair.
I'm so excited to watch these with you. We have to watch these together. We have to do it. But yeah, so like Loomis takes off and we have the new like Halloween 2 opening titles. I love the opening titles. I think they're very long. I really appreciate in
Yes.
2018 how they sped them up and it was like a 40-second thing, you know? That's all we need.
Because I love it in the first one, but this one it felt like, all right.
Yeah.
Let's speed up a little
I
bit.
will say though, whenever I play this soundtrack, I love during October to just play all of my Halloween soundtracks. And when I play the soundtrack and I can see it in my head, it's just like, oh, it's so good. I can't wait to get the soundtrack to Kills. But yeah, so we get those opening titles, and it's like the pumpkin, and we go in on the pumpkin, and the pumpkin opens, and it's a skull. Ah, Tales from the Crypt. And then very next one is, and I love this shit. POV shots of Michael Myers wandering through the neighborhood like after he's been shot, because that's the question at the end of the first movie, right? And it kind of demystifies it a little bit what happened to Michael Myers. But I like to see what he's doing, and he's like walking through the alleyways, and like it's just creepy because there's people in those houses, and if they look out their window, like Michael Myers fucking walking through the alleyway, that would creep the shit out of me when I was younger.
That would still scare me. Are you
Still
kidding me?
now, yeah, still now. You live in the suburbia. I, I guess I live in
And so you
suburbia.
kind of do too.
Kinda. It's just like a trash suburbia. Like your neighborhood, I've looked your neighborhood up on Google Maps. It looks more like a Haddonfield. Have you never
Looked
looked my
my
neighborhood up on Google
No,
Maps? I
that's
wanted to see.
weird.
Okay, well, I did it. I did it. I know where Ian lives and what his neighbors look like. Um,
The casual mention of
I
oh, I
wanted to
stalked you on
see
Google
like
Maps.
your house looks upper middle class to me. So I was like, that's nice. But Michael goes showing my ass here now. Michael just like wanders around and he comes up into the Elrod house. So this older lady in a pink and
How the
she's-
fuck do you
it's
know
just-
the name of these? This like couple that's in it for 2 seconds.
These are like classic Halloween characters. In the new one, 2018, the lady that he goes into her house and hits her with a hammer, that's supposed to be like an homage to Mrs. Elrod. She's got the pink like robe on and like the curlers and anyway. While she's like bitching at her husband about falling asleep next to the TV, he grabs a knife and he goes across the street. Or not across the street, but like across the alleyway to this teenager's house.
See, but I do like this is a thing that I like about these movies because in 2018, and I get it, they wanted to like up the kill. Like, I like the idea of Michael like not being pressed by this old couple. Like, he doesn't need to kill them. He's
Yeah.
mostly focused on like Laurie Strode's age and like that type of kill.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that like he's like looking for a knife and he found it and he leaves.
Well,
Like, I
because
kinda
that's
like-
a serial killer, right? Is a serial killer usually has an MO. They usually have like their type, and and you can kind of track who's been killed by what person based on like the type of person that it is. And I kind of like that as well as like more Michael Myers is more like interested in the young like babysitter like homely looking
Right.
kind of girls, because even the first two girls, like the all three girls in the original one, Annie, Linda, and Lori, they all look homely, even though maybe back then they didn't. Like now they look very homely.
They look like 45 is what they looked like.
I know
the way
Linda
they
was
dressed
not a
up.
slut in 2018.
But no, I like, and that's not knocking because I do enjoy that scene in 2018 when he goes through and just murders
Yeah.
everyone in the area. But I think that makes it creepier that he's like in the house and you think he's gonna murder this old couple, doesn't, but then does murder the younger girl that hears
Yeah.
them screaming.
And I think the randomness of it also
Yeah.
could could be really good as well. Not just the teenage girl, but also like because there's that scene where he's going house to house, and that is like probably one of my favorite scenes in that movie. I think that is one of the best scenes, and this kind of reminds me of that. But he's not killing everybody. He's just he gets this one teenage girl. The teenage girl scene actually. So when they made this movie, Rick Rosenthal wanted it to be a lot more like the first one, and the first one's very like it is a lot slower than this one. I feel like, and he wanted it to be like almost bloodless, not so much violence. And John Carpenter was like, well, we need some more violence. And so he directed this scene and came up with this scene. And she wasn't originally in it. And he just kills her. But like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Because it's good, but it also doesn't really do anything. It's kind of just like maybe he's hungry, so he's going to eat real quick. And then we cut over back, back to Laurie being pulled out of the house. Laurie and her wig. Her wig is a separate character on its own. The Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween 2 wig. I'd like to see where that is now.
Also, they like, and I know they were. I mean, I guess at this point she's like, she is a star, right? She was not a star, prior. And like this even happens with our beloved Sarah Michelle Gellar from like seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Buffy. Like the makeup is suddenly like way better and like very apparent. And I found that distracting every time because it was a lot of close-ups on Laurie because she's just laying down for most of the movie. Every time it was like the wig and the like makeup. It was like that's not what she looked like in the other movie.
Yeah, because she cut her hair short, and she was bigger. I think coming back to a sequel on a very successful movie, obviously you're going to be treated better. She probably had her own trailer by that point and like all of that, but she still wasn't huge yet. Like she was still. I think this was one of. Between that one and this one, she'd done like Prom Night, Terror Train, so she was getting that Scream Queen reputation. And there's an interview with her, and she says that I knew that like I had to like this had to be like the last one. I couldn't do another one, or else I would never get out of horror movies. And so this was kind of her before she like went on to Trading Places and like all of these big movies that made her Jamie Lee Curtis. But yeah, I mean, her wig is its own character in this. She's taken out of the Doyle house on a stretcher, and I just love this shit. I love this shit. And we just see like kind of the hospital process. She gets put in the ambulance, is driven off to the hospital, and at the hospital we start meeting our cast of like the hospital staff, where all of these people are really just set up to be killed anyway.
So also we got to point out. Because I was like, what the fuck was that? There's like a child with a razor blade stuck in its mouth. And it's like,
yes.
So there are 2 moments in this movie that felt un-Halloween. It felt like this is like leaning into like the Friday the 13th of it all. And that was one of the scenes for me that felt
this
like
one?
that. Yeah, that felt like a child with like a razor blade stuck in his mouth. Like we're playing into like that urban legend. Yeah. And it just felt like, why the fuck are we doing that? Like
I kind of like it though. I like little moments like that kind of like play into I wish they would do more of that. Like more like Halloween kind of urban legends that go into the holiday, because Michael Myers is not the end all be all of Halloween. Like there are tons of like horror stories are surrounded by Halloween, and like I used to be scared of the razor and candy.
That's what the series did later, right?
I guess, but I like that. I do like this moment. I like that it's like, again, it's like the neighbor you see for a minute, and this one you don't see them for very often. They go up to the front desk, and the lady tells them to fill out some forms of weight in the waiting room. Meanwhile, my kid has a fucking razor blade stuck in the roof of his mouth. Like, but let's make room for Laurie Strode, who's got a cut on her arm real quick.
Yeah, I think the thing is like the neighbor that you mentioned, I like that because that feels realistic. This felt like going too far. I don't know. This felt like unrealistic and like kind of dumb. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever watch side note? Did you ever watch Trick or Treat?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one.
I like that movie. I mean,
horror legends like that too.
But like that's the thing. That's like the whole thing. The whole conceit of that movie is the horror legends. And if that was the whole point of these movies, then I'd be fine with that scene. But for me, the whole point of these movies is that nothing really happens on Halloween, but there is this murderer out there to kill
I think
everyone.
This one could have been like the beginning, because originally the John Carpenter, Deborah Hill's their original intention was only to do the first one, right? But then like it kind of grew into like, well, let's tell these anthology stories. So this could have been like a beginning seed of something like that, maybe. But anyway, so Laurie arrives. They bring her in, and she's just laying there. She can walk. She's fine. She can get up, she can do stuff, but they're like, moving her from a bed to a bed, and like they sedate her. I don't know why they sedate her. I mean, I guess is that protocol here? I don't know.
I mean, right? It's not like she's hysterical.
She's
She's just
okay.
she's pretty
She's
calm.
fine. She's probably very traumatized. Like have somebody sit in with her, but
Right,
like
yeah.
you probably don't need to put her out. But they put her out, and like the this whole hospital thing is like the first 15 minutes of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I cannot wait to watch that with you because it is fucking this scene right here where they're moving her into the hospital. It's just insanely brutal, and it's like fucking madness. But this is very calm. Like all of this stuff is very mundane. We're just seeing it. There's no music really. We're just going through. We cut
You
to
know, I
Loomis
think
and
the lack of music is what makes it drag too, because there's a lot of scenes without any music.
and that was a problem with the first one is that they'd shown it to somebody and she said, "Well, this is not scary. There's no music," and so they had to go and add all of the like classic music that we have now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's something about it that I like. I think I like the mundane aspect of it, where like I think that's where what divides a lot of people. Um, I really like that because you can watch the first and this one like all in one sitting, and it's the same movie.
Yeah.
It is the same movie. But Loomis and Brackett are driving around, and Brackett like I cannot stand everybody gaslighting fucking Loomis, telling Loomis, "Oh, you let him out." Well, in the first one, he was saying, "Hey, he's out. Somebody help me." And they were just like, "No, he's fine, he's fine." But now he's killing people, so everybody's like Loomis.
Okay, but this okay, I lied. There are 3 scenes that I fucking hate
Okay,
that feel too much.
we're gonna every scene we get to, it's a new one added to the list.
The scene of him almost shooting a child, uh,
Yeah.
and like, okay, remind me. So when I like talked about this when we were watching it in the first Halloween, how does Michael Myers get that mask?
Michael steals it from like a department store.
Okay,
And so this guy, we had this conversation last night too.
right.
Yeah.
So I get it, but like he's also wearing the same fucking like
Jumpsuit.
Dickies
Okay. I'll give
jumpsuit.
you that. I'll give you that.
And I'm like, come on, at least give him a different like clothing because we know it's not Mike. Like we can tell it's not Michael. And the fact that we later learned that the kid was drunk, they should have had him like being erratic. So it would have at least made more sense that like,
Yeah.
okay, because it's like he's just casually walking and he has a fucking trick or treat bag.
Yeah.
Like, so like we, the audience, know it's not Michael. And I just wish they had like maybe he like pushes a kid or like hits someone because he's drunk and like, all right, then I
Something,
can.
I guess. I
But
don't
like
know. But, yeah.
the like
I'll,
the cop crashing into him and then it blowing up is just. I was like, what? That a child just got blown up. Is no one
it's
like
a
worried?
lot. He's only 17. He's fine. He's lived a life. It's Ben Tramer. No, you remember that, right? Like it's Ben Tramer. Lori's crush from the first one, where she's talking about, oh, she likes Ben Tramer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was Ben Tramer. Ben Tramer died in this. Oh, goodness. No, I'll give you the jumpsuit because I didn't think about that. Yeah, I mean, Michael did like kill somebody to get the jumpsuit, so it's not like he stole it from the same department store. But the mask, like, there's probably like 10 masks sitting in
All
there
right,
on the
all right.
shelf, and we'll do a half and half on that. But it's weird that like. I mean, I guess it's not weird. The crazy guy jumps out of a police car with a gun. Like he's probably not think. Ben Stramer's not probably not thinking like, "Hey, let me take my mask off and say, hey, no, it's okay, real quick." He's probably like, "Oh my god, I'm about to be shot by the police or something." So he turns and like whoever the fuck the cop is, like driving through the road, not looking at this very apparent person standing in the road and like slamming into them very fast. By the way, driving through a residential neighborhood very fast. My mom and her friends used to sit on our street, and whenever a car would go by that was too fast, all of them would scream at the top of their lungs, "Slow down!" But meanwhile, they're smoking their cigarettes and drinking their Coke. All these country ladies. Yeah, so Ben Tramer gets blown up, and they're not sure if it's Michael. They're like, yeah, it's the same mask, but like we're not sure. Also, keep in mind, like, Loomis only saw him in this mask for like a second, right? So he didn't really like have time to study what color the hair was and like how he really looked dressed like that. So you can give it to him, I
It just
guess.
so I was texting with Laz Marquez, who was on for
Yeah.
Friday the 13th. We were texting about Halloween too, and the thing he said, which now I can't stop thinking of, is that it felt like a 10-minute epilogue to the movie, just like drawn out for an hour and a
Yes.
half. And I do like this feels like tedious because it's like, but we know that's not Michael Myers. We already know, like, I don't like a mystery if we already know what the answer is. So like
Hmm.
having him be like, well, we gotta like do an autopsy. Well, we gotta bring the body in. It's like just speed through this because we already.
Yeah.
If there was like a mystery for us as the audience, I would be more okay with it. But there's no right, like there's no mystery. We know
It
it's not him.
really is a movie that is for the fans who are like die hard and do care about like a whole ass hour and a half after this, right? Because there isn't a lot that happens. If you boiled it down to all of the plot points that needed to be in there, it's probably a 30-minute movie. You know, it's not much more than that. So there's that argument. It is a 50-50. I don't think it got like the greatest reviews anyway. It didn't make a lot of money. So I
Oh,
mean,
really?
continued the rest of the franchise. Not as much as the first one, but it did make money. Um,
But then we get
but
to the guy that we both thought was cute, and he.
Well, not yet, not yet. So this is very, very sad scene. Very sad scene. Deputy Hunt arrives and tells Brackett that bodies were found at the Wallace house, including Annie. Then we jump over to the cute guy that Ian like always says. I'm so surprised that you think he's cute. This guy's cute. Just objectively, you can even look at him and he's cute.
Now, I would have assumed that he would be a guy that I would say is cute, and you'd be like, ugh. I
He's
feel like
fun.
I always feel like I know your type, but I love when you throw me a curveball.
Oh goodness, I can't wait to find somebody I'll really throw you a curveball with. Chris
Like
Bengalover.
I feel like a cute guy that's like not super jacked is a guy that I would think you would not be attracted to.
Yeah, he does have the Michael Myers build too. Like I could see him in the jumpsuit. Maybe that's the twist, the alternate ending.
That's what
we
attracts
get.
you.
So throughout the movie, we get this scene over and over: is Jimmy going into Laurie's room and kind of talking to her, and just like it's these like
What does he
things that
ask her,
have
Zachary?
nothing to do. He asks her for a Coke. He says, "Can I get you a drink?" She's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How about a Coke?" She's like, "Okay." I was a crazy fucking kid just walking like through my house by myself, just whispering to myself, "How about a Coke? How about a Coke? How about a Coke?" And then we go back to the Wallace house, and Brackett sees the body of his daughter Annie, and they got this actress back to play a body. Like I love
I
this shit. I love it.
could not believe. I was like, I said to Zach, I was like, wait a minute. They got that actress back to play a fucking dead body. It's wild. I mean, for me, like I know people can be like, ugh, people get too hung up in continuity, but I love continuity. I
I
love
do too.
it. So
Hmm.
like, I'm like, fucking yeah, bring back this person to play a dead body. Like,
Absolutely.
I really thought, which I wouldn't have been mad about. I thought we were going to see the officer just like lift up the blanket
And
and then
that's
like
all they would
cry.
have really needed. They didn't
Right.
really need to pay her for this, but it's really cool that she did it. It's like the people who were involved in making the first Halloween film, they worked together a lot after this. So she is married to the guy who directed the third one, who was working on the first one, and so like she's like in with that crowd. You know, they're
Right.
a group of friends who just make movies
And if
together.
you're like hanging out, why not?
Yeah, yeah. And so it's, I mean, it's cool. Like, I'm glad she came in and did it. I wish Linda would have been there, but like, I mean, I guess we didn't need both bodies, but it is really cool. And like, it adds to that kind of realism that
Yeah.
again, like the familiar locations, we get, you know, we see familiar characters, even if it's a dead body, we're like, even though like she's clearly breathing in that scene, like,
She really
her eyes are
is.
definitely reacting to things.
I didn't want to be that one, but I even have in my notes, her eyes clearly move.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll pretend. But he has that moment where he kind of like, you know, has to mourn that. And then and I like that this is his send off, is that he says, well, I have to go tell my wife. And then he kind of exit, not before like berating Loomis and telling him it's his fault. Fucking Annie died. Well, maybe if you listen to Loomis a little bit earlier. But then, yeah, so Brackett leaves and, then we cut to Michael, and he's kind of wandering around town still. He's like in the town center. I guess he's dressed in a Halloween costume, so nobody's going to really say anything. But he hears on the radio from somebody, because everything is coincidental in this movie. So he just coincidentally hears on the radio that Laurie Strode is going to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. And so he says, I'm going to go there. And how does he know where that is? Because there's a sign on the sidewalk for Michael Myers that says Haddonfield Memorial Hospital this way. Not pointing at any sort of street, just the sidewalk.
Zach was like, look at this sign that's just made for Michael Myers. And it is very clearly on the sidewalk, not on the street. And when they drive past it later, it's still in that same position.
You could put music to it where he sees it and it's boom 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 boom. So he heads off to the you know, over there, because whenever the camera's there, we all know that he's doing a fanny strut. his butt's going.
He's doing his runway walk.
And so a girl that he walked by was Karen, and she's on her way. She's like a nurse at the hospital. She's on her way. Karen shows up to work, and like her and Bud are definitely gonna fuck. We get this whole scene where they're flirting, and like we know they're gonna fuck.
I had a lot of trouble telling the women apart.
She is. Oh my gosh. Well, I couldn't even describe her. She's the hot tub lady.
Okay.
We'll give them nicknames.
But is she the one that also holds the walkie when the security guard goes, or is that the other one?
No, that is Janet.
Okay.
There's a Janet and there's a Jill also.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a Karen. And then there is a very light black woman.
Okay, I thought she was
Elves. Yes. So we get Michael stalking through like the hospital, and he's like watching all of these people. This is like the most understaffed hospital like I've ever seen.
Also was gonna say there are like 5 people working in this fucking hospital, but they do call it a clinic.
The budget.
They do call it a clinic a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if like that was their explanation. Like, no, it's just a clinic.
It could be. It's a big ass clinic. It's like It's massive.
Clearly a hospital, but I guess if we're going off what they say and it's just a clinic, then like, okay, I could see only 5 people.
Because there's also a moment towards the end where they're like clearly locking up and like turning lights out and stuff like that. So like it's not an everybody can go in there. I guess we'll go with clinic. But it's very big. It was like this old abandoned hospital that they got, and it was like really close to an airport, so they could only film for like 15 minutes at a time before a plane would go over. It's a nightmare to film. So Jimmy is talking to Lori again, and he's kind of filling her in on like who was attacking her. Like it was Michael Myers. He escaped from the hospital or whatever, and then it's. We're getting into all of this like Lori, Michael, brother, sister stuff that I'm just like not very happy with. Security guard gets got. We don't really see him get got, but like it kind of leads up to that. And he's on like a walkie with one of the nurses. At the morgue, the body is identified. The body that like was in the Michael Myers costume that got hit by the car. It's identified as Ben Tramer, which is a big shock for all of the Halloween 1 fans. We go back to the townspeople attacking the Myers house.
Even like, okay, wait. So
I agree with you here.
Because I was thinking of how when we did the Slayerfest live reading, the last one of The Wish, in that episode at the end, there is a lot of back and forth, and my editor, Mike, who like edited the video, cut all of it out and just made it 2 back and forth. That's it. And there's a lot of that in this movie. And like even us describing it, I'm like, fucking Christ. Like,
yeah. And I don't mind. I love seeing everything that's going on in town, but I think compartmentalize it a little bit better. So like the first 20 to 30 minutes should be us seeing everything that's going on in town, right? It should be us seeing what the police are doing, and Brackett seeing his daughter, and the townspeople like destroying this house. And then like, let's go to the hospital and stay at the hospital for like a little bit. Because then we come back to the hospital after like the townspeople are attacking the Myers house. Great scene, by the way. And Lori is dreaming about her brother because somebody told her about Michael Myers, and now all of a sudden he's her brother, and she's like having dreams.
I was gonna ask you to explain that scene because like I didn't fucking understand, because how would she like?
It's the power of suggestion, Ian. Power of suggestion.
But no one told her yet.
Nobody told her. She just is having memories that she suppressed, and memories of herself visiting her brother at the mental institution and blood dripping. And so this was like one of those decisions that John Carpenter really is not happy with either. Like he was just like drinking a lot one night and writing, and had to come up with this Halloween 2 script that he was being sued in order to make. So he's like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, how do I do part 2 of this night? Well, they're going to be siblings. He stalked her because he knew that was his sister. Makes no fucking sense, and I'm really glad they kind of retconned it. Because it was okay. It was like cool, but they really wrote themselves into a corner here for the rest of the series that they spent like decades trying to get out of, I think one reviewer said. So she's
You're casual, I think one reviewer said.
No, I know one reviewer said. I just cannot quote that reviewer. But like, so she's having fucking dreams about her brother, and she's realizing it. And it's so stupid. And then we get Karen and Bud, and they're getting frisky in the hot tub. Is this a hydrotherapy room? Is that what this is, or do they just have a hot tub for staff?
Because they just kept saying therapy room, and I was like, what's so sexy about a therapy room? Like,
yeah, it must be.
And then they got there, and it was a fucking hot tub. I was like, oh, where are you?
Yeah. So they're basically gonna fuck in there. What'd you think of him, Bud?
What'd you say?
Cute? Did you think Bud was cute?
I mean, he had that thing that all the younger girls had then too, where like they look like 45, but they're actually probably like 25.
What was up
Um,
with that? That was
right.
weird, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because his face looks like a dad face, but the actor's probably 25, maybe 30.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, he had a nice butt, nice body. This is the other scene that I fucking hated.
Did you?
This
Why?
this felt like Michael is usually more realistic deaths. Like he stabs you. He like, I mean, granted, not many people are putting fucking needles through eyes, but those are ways people die, right? So
Mhm.
like turning up the heat in a hot tub feels like something Jason Voorhees would do. That you're like, all right, fucking whatever. Um, and this just felt, I don't know, and like the explicit nudity
Yeah.
felt, it felt like very added on to make it of those horror movies.
Yeah.
For me, but I'm
There's a
not a
big
Halloween.
back and forth between them too. Like the actress who played Karen, saying that she wasn't really comfortable doing it, but the director said that he would direct it naked if she did it, and so she says that he didn't direct it naked, and he says he directed it in a thong. So there's like differing back and forth on that, but they like
I mean,
had to
her
kind of like coax her into doing it. I'm sure like it was in her contract though. Also, like
right, yeah, yeah.
she probably like
I
knew
mean,
she was
her
gonna do
boobs and
this,
his
but
butt look great. Good for
their
them.
bodies look great. Yeah, her body was like fantastic, but he's like strangled out of focus in the back because he goes to check on the noise or check on the heat is what it was. It was getting too hot in there because Michael turned like the heat up. Very brutal though. Like he dies in the background, and then Michael comes up behind her, um, and she doesn't realize it's him. And then when she turns and sees him, like he's dunking her in the water in this like boiling hot water, and every time he pulls her out, she's like, the makeup's great. Her skin's peeling off, and like she's just being burned to death. I don't know. I do like this death as like a horror movie death. I think it's very of the time. It is very 1981. Like it is there. It would be a it'd be a Friday the 13th kill. I could see that. There you go.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yes. And so he kills both of them, and then back at the elementary school, because now we're jumping to the elementary school. There's an elementary school now.
I I very much like clocked out at this point. I was like, I don't know why they're at a fucking school. Sure, fine, whatever.
I think they're trying to tie Michael to the occult now, and to like Halloween, like sorcery, magic, and like kind of. I think they're trying to hint at an explanation why he doesn't die, why he doesn't go down, and we don't always need that, you know. It does feel like in this movie he's kind of leveling up
Yeah.
in terms of power. What do you think of that? So, what do you think of Michael Myers in general as like a super being and not just a man?
I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth, right? Because clearly he is a super, like, if you're getting shot and shot and shot and you don't die, clearly you are like some kind of, you're not a regular guy, right? A regular guy gets shot in the eyes, they're dead. They're not still
Mm,
swiping a knife. A regular guy like gets shot and thrown off a balcony, probably dies or cannot just like walk around like it's fine. So I get it, but I don't know. Like I actually had Jason Takes Manhattan on in the background when I was eating lunch earlier, um, which is such a bad movie.
yeah,
And like I because a lot of those movies just smush together for me. Um, I forgot how I didn't even like figure out how he gets to Manhattan because I wasn't paying attention. But it was like the opening and like there's I was thinking of you actually because I was like, oh, this guy's really hot.
Jason Takes Manhattan makes you think of me.
No, no,
Oh,
no, because
this is some shit,
the
Ian.
horror, the couple in the beginning was like a hot horror movie couple. And I was like, wait, isn't this from? And then I was like, oh no, because I looked it up. It's like the later 80s. I'm sorry, I'm taking a diversion. But I was thinking about how they just do a quick, literally it opens with they're on a boat in Camp Crystal Lake, and the guy's like, there's a rumor that, Jason's mom killed all these people and blah, blah, blah. And then Jason came back and killed all these people. And Jason Takes Manhattan is like part 8 or 9 at this point.
Mhm.
That's it. They do that and they're on a boat, and the boat does something where like electricity runs down the lake into Jason.
Yeah,
Boom, he's back. And that's it. And I'm like, all right, like I don't mind a little bit of like, look, it is kind of supernatural. We're gonna show you, but like we're gonna breeze past it. I don't mind that in a horror movie. And I don't feel like we needed the explanation about Michael because I also don't think they tied it in well at all.
yeah,
Um, I'm okay with adding that element because like clearly Michael is whatever because he's not dying. So I'm okay with it, but I feel like if you're gonna do it, just do it, or like don't, but don't like, ooh, look, there's like, what is that fucking word that's written on the chalkboard? And then like Loomis later is like, you didn't see the chalkboard, but like,
It's not pronounced Samhain, but actually, I
okay.
always forget how it's pronounced. It's like Samhain or something like that. But it's like it means like something to do with like Halloween and like that like All Hallows Eve and all of that. And like really, we just don't need it, and we don't need an explanation on why he's like leveling up. Just let him kind of do it, right? Either do it or don't. Um, but we'll kind of condense some of the back and forth because there's still a lot of back and forth going on. So Marion Chambers arrives. The nurse, love her. She arrives with a marshal though because she's going to bring Loomis back to Smith's Grove by orders of the governor. And while they're on their way, she kind of fills Loomis in on like there was like a sealed file, in the court, and the court like should have told Loomis about it, and
Right.
that Lori is Michael's sister, and so he's like, she's a sister. That's why he's doing this. He killed one sister 10 years ago. Now he's trying to kill the other. And then he pulls a gun out and like gets the marshal to turn him back around. And they're on their way to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. And so Lori is catatonic now. She's like opened her eyes and like stopped moving. I don't know how we got here, but like this is
It's
the
like,
use of Jamie Lee Curtis in this one, right?
I really was like, is she pretending for when Michael comes? Like, what are we doing?
She did some great eye acting, though. They shined the flashlight in her eyes not once, but twice, and they did not react. So I was very proud of her right then. Very, very proud of her. I'm hoping in Halloween Kills she's not in the hospital the whole time. And maybe if she is, that she's like, I don't know, vampire on the ceiling or something like that. Like, give Laurie Strode something to do. But now all of the hospital staff are kind of starting to get picked off one by one. So Dr. Mixter and Nurse Janet both get murdered by like a syringe. Brutal, I guess, What does he do? It was an eye pocket, right?
The doctor has it in his eye.
Okay.
Janet gets it in the side of her head. And I was thinking, like, I don't know that a syringe would go through your bone.
I guess it was just like air into like a
Which
vein or something.
that would kill you,
right?
like if you put air, but it like goes all the way in. And I was thinking, I don't know that it would go through bone, but maybe it would. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Very strong one. Michael knows all the pressure points.
Yeah.
And Michael shows up into Laurie's room, tries to stab her, but she's not catatonic anymore, so she has like stuffed her bed with pillows. And like, I do like that they kind of like, if they were going to make her loopy throughout this movie, they kept her loopy. So when she's running through the hospital and stuff, you can tell she's on some fucking morphine. She's like, she's like out of it. And that's great for her. I'm glad she got a little high.
So the hot orderly finds I thought she was Hispanic, but the black nurse, I don't even know. She's what, like strangled with blood coming out or something?
I think there was just like a syringe put in her and like, I don't know, all her blood like drained out or something like that, but like the blood's all over the floor. And so Jimmy
he turns to run and slips in the blood. And I will tell you, this is my least favorite horror movie thing. I hate, and we got this in Black Christmas too. I hate like incidental deaths in horror movies. We're doing a horror movie. I want them to be fucking murdered. I don't want them die because something fell or they tripped or whatever. Like I fucking hate that. Have you ever seen that movie Dale and something versus Evil?
I don't think so.
It's got the girl who played Suri in 30 Rock. That whole movie is that where people keep dying like by falling into a trap, or they fall over and trip on a gun and it kills them. And I don't know. That's like a big, but I know that is a horror movie thing, but I hate it.
I don't like that either, though. I think like something like Nurse Alves like dying off camera. That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
He goes in there. Maybe he sees Michael come out of the shadows or something like that. Tries to run, and the blood is like just a little hurdle that stops him, and like
and then he gets stabbed,
and he falls, and then like Michael kills him, right? Like that would have been good, but I agree with you. I don't like a death that's like, what was it that in Black Christmas? It was the ice pick, right?
The icicle fell on her.
So fucking stupid. To a great character too. So that happens to him. Laurie's still wandering around the hospital. Poor Nurse Jill, the nice lady with the short blonde hair. I like her very much. And she just like, everybody's fucking gone. And she's like, where the fuck is everybody? I don't know, have any help. Laurie is missing. But I can't find anybody.
I did think at this point, I was like, is Laurie the only person in this hospital? I guess because it's a clinic, one could say yes.
I guess. I don't know. So like Jill eventually like goes, she's done with her shift, so she's fucking out. So like walks outside, and all of the cars are kind of like, all the tires are slashed, and I like that. I think that was really good. But
And
then
she
she
encounters Lori.
she
Yeah.
goes back inside and she encounters Lori finally. She's like, "Son of a bitch, you get your ass in back in the room. Go!" Somebody
Actually,
needs to take Lori by her wig and put her ass back in bed.
well, no, because then Michael would kill her.
Michael kills her from the back and like lifts her up via scalpel.
Scalpel.
I do like the shoes falling. That's a really nice moment. Real nice touch. And it's quiet though, so like we're seeing it through Lori's eyes, and Lori's very hazy, and we can see that she's hazy and like seeing what happens. And like I wouldn't even know if this was a fucking dream or not. Try to walk off the roof and see.
Well, she does it in Halloween Resurrection.
And, now it's the chase scene. We finally get it. Our big chase scene between.
It's like
Lori and
now the
Michael.
movie has begun.
Yes. And I do love this chase scene. I love her running through like the basement and going into the elevator and finding all these bodies. And
that elevator scene was like, I'm always a fan of an elevator scene. Like, I thought that chase was like very thrilling, of her like crawling through that one window, smashing on the boxes, and like getting the elevator and just being like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Because like you said, she's like
moving slow,
and she's like doped up, so she's kind of like, well, this is it. Either this door shuts or I die. And the door does shut.
And they do take like these are the moments they do really take their time with, and they do a really good job and like build that suspense, and that's what they should have done more of here.
Yeah.
Because then, like, she like just narrowly gets away and runs outside. I love her falling on the Christmas ornaments, by the way. Perfect. And she runs outside and she gets in Jimmy's car, coincidentally. And Jimmy comes stumbling out and gets in there. We really didn't need him. If they were going to kill him, not via Michael, we didn't need him here.
He can't be dead. Zach, I refuse to believe that was him. He made it out to his car and then passed out dead from what?
But he passes out on the steering wheel, you selfish motherfucker.
I think he just like passed out. I don't think he was dead. I feel like he had to have just been like,
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So like he passes out on the we'll get to it. Well, he passes out on the steering wheel and sounds the alarm. She's got to push his head back, and then she gets out because like Loomis and his crew show up and they go inside the hospital. I don't know why they locked the door behind them, but they do. And Lori can only get her scream out. She musters up all her energy and can only get her scream out right at the end as they enter the hospital.
This whole thing, I was like, oof, Wes Craven, he loved this, and was like, we're gonna redo this.
It was really good.
Because it reminded me of Casey Becker when she's like, and then when she's at the fucking doors, I kept thinking of Helen Shivers, like when the killer's like slowly walking to the doors and Helen Shivers is like, let me in, let me in, let me in.
Yeah. I mean, at least Casey Becker, like there was a reason, like her throat was crushed, right?
She had been literally, scream,
But Lori just decides to be drama queen. She's like, I am the scream queen. I'm going to do it right. You got to just go inside, guys. Go inside.
Me.
Help me. I love hearing Jamie Lee Curtis like describe it because she just like she knows all this shit is so fucking ridiculous. She like she loves to talk about how ridiculous it is. And so they're inside, and so she runs to the door and she's trying to get help, and Michael's coming up behind her, and it's this chase. We got it. They let her inside. They lock the door, but Michael is so strong. This is his level up moment. He just walks right through the door, right through the glass. Loomis shoots him 6 times. That's what I counted. 6 times. He goes down. The marshal kind of checks to see if he's dead, even though Loomis fucking tells him don't do that. He says,
Marion leaves to call the cops.
Yeah, he says he tells Marion go call the cops, and the marshal's like, wait, no, don't call the cops because I can use this radio and this car. Don't call the cops. But she goes out and does it anyway because Loomis is in charge, and then the marshal gets killed by Michael because he doesn't listen. Nobody listens to Loomis, so they die. And then Michael is chasing Loomis and Lori through the hospital. They like barricade themselves in a room, but Michael gets in because he walks through the door again. And Lori's got a great fucking shot here because right after Loomis gets stabbed, Lori is like, yeah, I took a gun class once or twice. I went to the shooting range. Let me act like I don't know what to do with the gun, and then yeah. Right in both eyes. So Michael can't see, but he's still like swinging his scalpel. And this is really good because they're trying to divert him. And so they're each like turning nozzles on like gas and like stuff like that. And he's like going back and forth between them. And finally, we know gas is all filled up this room. So Lori gets a chance to escape. She runs out, and as she's running, Loomis sets off a lighter and blows himself and Michael up. But not, so he dies. Technically, supposed to die, I guess, because this was supposed to be the last Halloween, and then they were supposed to move into the anthology thing, and then we get that really great, like, classic shot of Michael walking through the hallway on fire, like, still coming at her. And I thought, did you like this or no? Were you not hit by
I
this
mean,
one?
I liked it. It was just very obviously a man in a padded suit on fire.
Yeah, we have the quality's better. I imagine sitting back in 1981, a little bit blurrier. It probably looked
Right.
a little bit better.
Yeah.
What?
But no, I like this whole, like I said, when
Yeah,
once I felt like the movie started, I do love this whole like
yeah. And then he goes down. Michael goes down. He's finally dead, or
I kept thinking of
supposedly
like
dead.
Laurie from H2O, and it's like just chop his head off though, make sure.
Nah, she's still weak. She's still weak here. But she gets put in another ambulance because they're gonna be. This hospital's gonna be safe this time. This one's gonna be safe,
This
Lori.
one's
It's
good.
okay. It's okay. This one's good. We've got 20 people on staff in this one. Um,
We have eight
and
people on staff.
yeah, she gets put in the back of the hospital. It's morning time, and so the movie, I couldn't remember which ending this was because. So this ending, right, it was just like Mr. Sandman starts playing as she's riding away, and it's just a close-up of her face, and then we see Michael's mask on fire, right?
Mm.
But there is I believe there's an alternate ending, and I think it was on the TV version where Jimmy's in the ambulance too, because Jimmy lived, and so
Yeah.
I think a lot of people use that one as like canon, and that Jimmy did live, and I think that's why when 2018 came out, a lot of people were like suspecting that maybe Jimmy was Karen's father and stuff like that. Like Jimmy, like everybody still ships Lori and Jimmy. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't in this movie.
If
I
he,
suspect he will pop up
mm.
still. Or I guess he can't because they retconned Halloween 2. Never mind. I take it back.
But I mean, he could be like, I, with the way they're playing with it, I could see him popping up and being like, "Oh, I worked at the Haddonfield Clinic."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got different like endings for Michael and all of these. Like we've got he gets shot in the end of the first one. This one's fire, and then Halloween 2018 they kind of use the fire again. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna do Halloween Kills because they can't just. I'm assuming they're probably just gonna let him go, right? He's not gonna. There's not gonna be some huge defeat.
In Halloween Kills. Yeah, probably.
Mhm.
I do think. Okay, so after watching this movie, I kept thinking of how Halloween Kills will use this movie as like a outline.
Yeah.
And I do think Laurie's probably going to be in the hospital most of this movie. And like, although I don't understand because they were fine, right? Did she get stabbed?
She. I mean, I'm sure running on like a cracked bone and like
Right.
falling on Christmas ornaments and stuff, you're probably gonna injure yourself a little bit. But like,
No, I mean in Halloween the 2018.
she got stabbed in the abdomen, dude.
Oh, right. Okay. Because
Yeah.
I was gonna say like, but yeah, I think she's gonna be in that hospital most of that movie, and it's gonna be the town
I
like
have a
trying to
feeling
fight
that
back from getting
that
murdered.
shot in the trailer of her walking is gonna be like the last shot. I
Yes,
think that's gonna be it.
because I think we're
Uh,
gonna lead up to her having another confrontation with Michael,
yeah.
which like writing wise, I'm like, but we already got that. But I get like that's what the third movie's gonna have to be like their
So well, there's
final.
reports that the third movie's not gonna be on this night. It's gonna be set a couple years down the road. That they're gonna speed it up, which I would not be mad at because I think let's kind of get off of this night a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. Maybe Michael like disappearing somewhere and Lori. I don't know. I don't know how they would kind of set that up, but my predictions. We already talked about our predictions. I think Karen's gonna die. I think Lori's probably gonna be in the hospital the whole time, and then
Aaron
yeah,
Judy
I mean, it's
Greer.
gonna, yeah,
Hmm.
poor
Yeah,
Karen.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's gonna die in this one. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, this was Halloween 2. More the tagline. I love it. Love it. More of the night he came home.
It's like I still know what you did last summer.
It's so good though, so good. I do love this movie. I rank it in my top 3. I'm just not sure if it would be 2 or 3 yet. What do you rank this movie if you had to rank it?
Um, H2O is my favorite. And
Mhm.
then I don't know. I think this of the ones I've seen, H2O would be my favorite. And the original Halloween and the 2018 Halloween would be 2 and 3. I don't know which one would place
Really?
where.
You would
Yeah.
you would rank 2018 that high up? I didn't think
Mhm.
you liked it that much.
No, I did. I just there was elements that I fucking hated, but I thought it was a good movie with really great moments.
I feel like Halloween Kills you and I. It's going to be the movie that you and I agree the most on. I feel like
Yeah.
it's going to be. up until now, the movie we agree most on.
Um,
Some
and so
stuff
I
like that.
think, and I mean, then I've seen Resurrection, and that one fucking sucks. So I would probably put Halloween 2 as fourth.
Can't wait till we get to Busta Rhymes. Trick or treat,
Oh
motherfucker.
God.
But this was Halloween 2, and I can't wait to get to Halloween 4 with you also. We're going to be having Jimmy Champagne on for Halloween 4. He's a YouTuber, covers like everything Halloween. I'm super stoked to talk to him about this also, and I'm really excited to watch Halloween 4 with you. I think more than anything, we might have to like figure out a little something to do for that, because I want to see what your reaction's going to be for it. But yeah, we thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you guys enjoy the rest of the Halloween coverage that we're going to be doing. And yeah, where can everybody find you, Ian?
Well, you can find this podcast in Slayerfest 98's podcast feed. And if you're listening to it there, then thanks. And you should subscribe to the podcast and give us a good rating on Apple Podcasts and wherever.
Yes.
And you can find Slayerfest 98 on social, where we post all our My Bloody Judy stuff at SlayerFestX98. And Zachary, where can they find us on YouTube?
YouTube.com/AZB bonus features will be the video version of this if you're already watching. Yes, Apple Podcasts, go give a 5-star rating. It only takes a second. It really only takes a second. It's super easy to do. Helps Slayerfest out a whole lot. So go do that. And we hope you have a great rest of your spooky season and are excited to cover it with us. Bye, guys.
Bye.